So anyway, at that OLG, I was going to be this good start in journalism. As we, well, anyway, we're back to the YouTube break. Of course, those of you who are watching this on your video iPods, well, you didn't get one. Anyway, after I graduated, I then moved on to college. See, this is back in 1980, where we lived in an age where, back in the 1980s, it was believed that if you didn't know how to type on a typewriter, how were you going to learn how to operate a computer? But you see, I was ahead of that. I was ahead of that game. The first few minutes, sitting in a typewriter, I was like, okay, I figured out how to type. Okay, true, I was not the greatest typist in the world. I was not the fastest. See, that's also another thing that society, even today, believes is a must. Fast typists, you gotta type like, say, 300 miles an hour. I can't do that. See, that's also what costs what's impossible for me to work, because I just don't have the eye-hand coordination to type some, 60, 70, 80 words a minute, like employers like to see coming out of their employees all the time. So there. Anyway, so that is a knock as well. Add that to the fact that I began, to the fact where, I suppose in hindsight you could say I began right where I kind of ended, where I ended in college, a little small community college. I guess you could say minus the computer course. Although computers were like, the Ataris, Commodores, well, maybe not Ataris, but like IBMs or whatever. But you see, even with the computers, you're basically learning elementary skills. It's like, I already know how to do this. It's like, what's 2 plus 2? You have to sit there and do math. Like elementary school math. 2 plus 2. It's like, I already know the answer to that. 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Can we move on? It's like, give me something challenging here, But alas, society did not believe in that. The business world didn't, and then part of that, I guess you could say, has to do with the fact that the business world back then didn't know much about computers, and they didn't know much about how today's youth, they didn't know much about how today's youth is so quick to learn the computer. And we didn't, they didn't realize that. They didn't take that into consideration. So, and because they didn't know much about it. So anyway, they didn't know nearly as much about it as they do today. With today's youth. So, but anyway, I had that going against me as well. Moving things back up about 20 years. My journalism career practically shot down the tubes. Along comes the internet. I'm like, okay. Blogging, of course, didn't come along until, I don't know what, 2003, when I started doing the text blog on a web page. Thinking, oh well, gee, it's a text blog. I can, what do I need Blogspot for? I can just do that on a web page. That's when I found out there were advantages to that. Anyway, you know what those advantages are. But then, as blogging has evolved, blogging, of course, becoming a new mainstream media of sorts. Bloggers, many of them, gather the news. So many of them you see on the cable news channels, and then you go on, mainly Fox Noise, asking the very obvious, which should have been a very obvious question even to them: are bloggers journalists? Well, the answer is yes. Bloggers are journalists. And Fox, Fox Noise needn't look any further than News Corp's own TMZ.com. The news source for the entertainment industry. They report everything, all Paris, all the time. Well, okay, maybe not all Paris all the time, but all entertainment news all the time. That's TMZ.com. It's also owned by News Corp, the parent company of Fox News. And they have quite a few bloggers. There's also some independent bloggers that also make headlines and appear on cable news channels. And last but not least, got a whole site that's devoted to blogs. Well, I mean, okay, maybe not last, but certainly not least. You got a whole site that's devoted to blogs. News.com, run by CNET, which was, by the way, just recently taken over by CBS. So, you've got them. So anyway, and then of course, this is last but least, and when we come back from this YouTube break, we will go into the last, but certainly far from least, right here on the Left-Wing Conservative Special Edition in a moment.